only poor at talking about, but apparently uninterested in the most important questions of all, such as what exactly are we meant to be doing with our lives? What are we meant to be doing with our time? We all know we've got a finite amount of time, so how should we occupy that time well? And
yeah, well, it's funny because I would say in the past, to some degree, that question was answered for us by deprivation. You know, Absolutely. It was obvious what we were lacking. And so when it's obvious what you're lacking, when you're hungry, when you're truly hungry, there's no question about what you should do. You should eat. And if you're freezing and if you're overheated and all of those things, the desirable future manifests itself automatically in front of you. And in Absolutely. Some sense, we've been deprived of deprivation and are suffering from an enemy of prosperity.
Yes. And I think for some people a form of boredom, and yes, and too much time on their hands, and much more. There are different ways of circling around the same answer to the problem. But it's been very striking to me for a long time that, particularly in political terms, the left has been really quite interested in this gap. It's recognized the size of it and has sought to fill it. In recent years, as I say at the beginning of the Madness of Crowds, the most obvious way of filling it is with the horrible, dysfunctional and retributive replacement religion, which is identity politics, intersectionalism, and all of this. As I point out, it's in some ways a curiosity, perhaps also an inevitability, that, let's say, the respectable right at any rate has been pretty uninterested in answering these questions and hasn't even nodded to their absence. The right has, in our lifetimes, been very interested in issues of economics, and that's, of course, crucial, as you alluded to earlier. I mean, if the economics are going well, a lot of other things go well as well. When they go bad, absolutely everything goes bad. So in some ways, it's understandable that the right has been interested in economic questions, but it has left as I say, I repeat, the sort of respectable bit of the right has basically left identity and meaning questions to say, well, find the meaning of things where you will. If you come across it, great, we couldn't be happier for you, but doesn't seek to address these questions.
Well, maybe it's partly because the collapse of religious belief hasn't been as thorough on the right as it has been on the left. And there's still more people who are oriented in the conservative direction who have at least some vestiges of their traditional religious belief. But,
Yes.
Well, and I would